Welcome, everyone, to our very first Dartmouth Coaches Show presented by Ramunto's. I'm your host, Lori McBride, and I'm here at Ramunto's Brick and Brew in downtown Hanover, New Hampshire. And we're here to talk all things Dartmouth hoops. We're going to go ahead and start with our Gail Koziara Boudreaux, head coach of women's basketball, Coach Linda Cimino. Coach, welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Coach Cimino is in her first year at the helm of the Dartmouth women's program and has already orchestrated quite the turnaround. The Big Green Women, already with its highest win total since the 2019-2020 season, currently sit at 5-6 overall, heading into Saturday's Ivy contest against Brown University. Coach, knowing the job, when you took the job last spring, and knowing that it was a rebuild, I'd love for you to talk a little bit about what you were thinking going into the season and how you've been able to instill belief in this team and inspire them to the success that you've had so far.
That's a great question, and I think anytime you take over a program, the most important thing is having buy-in from your players. But I think first and foremost, just listening to Mike Harrity's vision about what he wants this program to be and laying a strong foundation from the top down. And I think once you have that support, everything else can fall into place. But it started with hiring a great staff. And I was very fortunate to hire a really good staff with a lot of Division I experience, and hiring Rob Ismay, who was with me before, and Kerry Reeves, who was a Division I head coach, and Ando Tran, who was at Brown in the Ivy League, and then Haley Moore. So putting together a staff with experience, I think right away your players are buying in because they know that y'all know what you're doing and you have confidence in yourselves. So I think that was the first most important thing. Knowing that there's no quick fix, knowing that you have to do things the right way and you have to be patient. And I think sometimes that's a struggle as coaches. We want to see improvement right away. We want to see results right away, and knowing that you have to really stay focused and stay true to the course and really hone in on small details. Our players will tell you right from the jump, the first day of practice, we were working on passing. We weren't putting in plays. We were working on passing and defensive stance and communicating. Like, it's important to build on those little things that add up to big things throughout. So I'm really happy and thankful that our players were receptive to us. And we are a very different staff in terms of the way we operate and communicate and our temperament. And we all have different personalities. And I think that there's somebody for each player on our team to talk to and to feel comfortable with watching film and working out with. So I think that all helps as well as you're building a program.
That's great. I love that you're focusing on fundamentals and really building things the right way for the long term. Has anyone on the team surprised you this season in terms of their play or their production?
Yeah, we've been pleasantly surprised throughout the first few months. And I know we're going to talk about a few players particularly as the show goes on. But I think something that really stood out with me was the leadership of the veteran players and the older players. And early on, I said that I was not going to name captains, and we ended up naming captains. And it was actually something that was earned without even knowing that there was an opportunity to earn it. So you saw people lead in their authentic selves, without trying to win a prize or become a captain. So they were leading authentically, and I think that made a huge difference. So right from the jump, I would say that Cam Foltz stepped out with her leadership, and Doreen Arik and Tori Page, their leadership jumped out with me and Carrington Washburn. I had the opportunity to attend a luncheon with her and just learning her story and her background, and we'll hear from her later. So I would say that those players off the court really jumped out in terms of their leadership with me. And then on the court, we'll talk a little bit more as the show goes on, but I think at the end of the day, they're working really hard. And not that I'm surprised by that, but I'm definitely thankful and impressed by that, because they could have easily, walked in and said, oh, we have a new coach, our third coach in 3 years, and, we've only won, 5 games combined. And they could have gone through the motions, but these young women didn't do that. They come in, they work hard, and they really want to win. They want to get better, they want to improve, and they're very receptive to change. So I think that's the ultimate surprise for me, not necessarily individual, but a collective team effort.
I love that. I love the story about your captains and how they naturally just rose to the top. That's an incredible story. Thanks for sharing. All right, so now we have to talk about the impact, and I have to start with the electric play of freshman point guard Nina Minikazi. She's coming off Ivy League Rookie of the Week and just seems so comfortable leading your team. Is that a surprise? And how has it been? I feel like she gets better every single game.
It's not a surprise. One thing when I took this job was I watched a lot of film, and I especially watched film on the incoming players and the 5 first-year players that we have. And the person I was most excited to coach was Nina. I thought she was crafty. I thought she was hard-nosed, a little undersized, kind of carries a chip on her shoulder and plays tough, plays hard. And I thought she could shoot the ball really well. And so it's all coming together for her. And I do think that she is shining because of her teammates. I think that, Tori, his willingness to move over to the wing, and Nina taking the point, and then, veteran players and post players such as Claire and Doreen. They work really well together. They're really good with the pick and roll and that kind of offense. So I think Nina hasn't really been a surprise for me. She's the one person who I walked in and thought, okay, she's going to be productive for us, and we can kind of grow with her throughout the year. And I'm happy to see that she's coming out of her shell, and I'm glad that the Ivy League rewarded her with Ivy League Rookie of the Week last week. And she's going to continue to grow and get better as we go on every game.
Well, she's going to be someone that will be fun to watch grow and develop as with the team, and kind of taking the team with her. Okay, so now you and I have talked a lot about just how you're trying to instill how to win and teaching the team how to win. So first of all, how do you do that? And second of all, what aspects do you feel like you still have left to grow and to teach them in order to win?
Well, Doreen's a huge piece of that. There's not a lot of people out there that have a 6'4" post presence like her. And so I think what we've tried to do is win when we can, little moments on the court, whether it's, win the next 5 minutes from a timeout to a timeout, or win, the next defensive possession, so we get a stop and then we get a score. If you start to win small things and string them along, it does result in bigger wins, or, you accomplish growth in that game. And so just in practices and competitions, try to compete a little bit, and, keep track of who wins what, in our 11 Monty drill or in our shooting drills and stuff like that. Small wins, and just, they need to see the ball go through the hoop. But on the flip side, we've really been honing in on our defense. Right now we are leading the Ivy League in, fewest points given per game. And so we've had to sacrifice our offense a little bit to go with a stronger defensive lineup and play two bigs together. And I think that's kind of orchestrated our change a little bit too with our wins. Great.
So you did mention Doreen a couple of times. We've got to talk about Doreen. She was out last year. She wasn't playing. And now she's back, and boy, what an impact has she made on this program. So talk about a little bit more about what she brings, and then what you see for her in the future, in the next couple of months.
Well, for starters, she might be the nicest person on campus. She's just a pleasure to be around. She's happy. She's pleasant. She's always smiling. I don't know if she ever has a bad day. And that's infectious. You know, to have a personality like that, that's something that you want to share and spread through your teammates. And I do think that her teammates really respect her and look up to her. One thing about her is she has really good footwork. I have a colleague, friend that's a big-time Division I official, has worked Final Fours, and has said to me, you know, Doreen, she has the best footwork I've seen this year, and he's working the top level. So she has great footwork and she has great hands, and I think that has really helped her in terms of rebounding. And you know, we're still working on finishing around the rim consistently, which is growth, which, you know, was going to come with time and experience. So that's a good thing. We do have time, and we have lots of experience left to be had and made. So she does a great job for us on the boards. It allows our guards to defend a little bit differently, knowing that they have her behind them, you know, and she can, you know, block shots, grab rebounds, and so it can stretch your defense a little bit in that sense. But I think Doreen's, when I say the ultimate team player, she really is. She's happy for everybody's success. If she's on the bench, she's cheering for everybody. And like I said, that's contagious to be around.
Well, she is one of the most even-keeled players that I've seen on the court. You never see her get flustered, and she just seems to make everyone around her a little more calm. So I love to watch that part of her game. Okay, so now let's look ahead to Brown. This Saturday, they're 9-4. They're having a really good season. What can you tell us about them and how you're preparing for them, and then what might be some keys to winning that ball game?
So I'm very familiar with the Brown coach. I've coached against her many times over the years. And so one thing different about Brown is they've been notoriously known to play zone. They've only ever played zone, and for the first time in years, they're playing player-to-player matchup. So I think that knowing that they have a really talented point guard, a very athletic wing, a really good shooter, and an inside presence, we have to go inside against them, and I think that that's been our game plan throughout. But knowing who we have versus who they are, we've got to, you know, run them off the three-point line, not allow them open threes, especially in transition. And then we've got to try to go inside and make sure that we rebound the ball. That is our strength, and that needs to be what we do in our game plan going into that game.
Well, we're certainly excited for Saturday's game and that matchup. Opening Ivy League. Thank you so much, Coach. Appreciate you taking the time with us, and we're going to take a quick break. And welcome back to the Dartmouth Coaches Show, presented by Ramunto's. I'm sitting here with Dartmouth women's basketball player Carrington Washburn, the 6-foot senior from Brentwood, Tennessee. Carrington, your freshman year, you didn't compete due to COVID, and then you've seen 3 coaching staffs in 3 years, this is your 4th year. So you've seen it all, you've been through it all. Tell me, as one of the veterans of this team, tell us a little bit about Coach Cimino and staff, and how it has been adjusting to this new coaching style.
Yeah, for sure. As mentioned, I have gone through 3 coaching staffs in my time here. And for starters, I want to say that this has been one of the smoothest transitions, and I can say that full-heartedly. From the beginning, Coach Sim contacted us within the first 2 weeks we were here and spoke with each of us, asked what we saw in this program moving forward, and kind of what we thought our role was going to be and how we can move to our goals and compete better than we did in the years prior. So I think from that moment we kind of got a gauge and had the winning mindset going into the season. I think from the outside, describing it as Coach Sim is a lively character, and she will tell you exactly what you want to hear or don't want to hear in practice, and kind of will say whatever's on her mind. And I think that is something that I really respect about her, is she doesn't hide it. She'll tell you how it is, and because she wants the best for you. I think her and her whole staff are all on the same page of just wanting to push us to make us better. going into this program, they're in a coaching staff where we're not any of their recruits, but I don't think they've ever even mentioned that, or that's been ever used in a sentence to describe our program, which is something that I really appreciated, how they basically came in with open arms and took us in. And I think Coach Sim personally, she loves what she does. She loves to compete, and I think you can see that from the way she coaches. And also, like off the basketball court, she cares so much as people, wanting the best for us to see us succeed after Dartmouth, and kind of how we can change and make this program better.
That's great. Thank you. All right, so what is something about Coach Sim that the casual fan or just watching a game might not know?
Well, something that I've kind of come to realize about Coach Sim through our conversations we've had and stories she's told us is she's a woman who's lived 9 lives. Every day she tells us something or a story that she had, somewhere she traveled, or something that she's done that kind of makes us in awe of like what she's accomplished and kind of what she's done. Specifically, she's also a woman of humor. Me and Mina on the team kind of keep note of some of our favorite quotes that she says throughout practice. And it's just something we kind of like to look back on and laugh around. And I think it keeps it lively, it keeps it fun like it's supposed to be. I think it shows us that basketball is a sport that you can enjoy. You are a Division I athlete, but there can be moments of enjoyment and excitement.
So you're not bringing that book of quotes with us? You're not going to share that today?
No.
Maybe next time we'll have to get that from Nina.
Also, something that you might not know about Coach Sim is she was a member of the NCAA Rules Committee and from 2018 through 2020. So when preparing for games, like for our game against Brown on Saturday, we're preparing for Brown, but we're also preparing for the 3 refs that are presented in front of us, because she knows how to get the calls that we need in those moments. So I think that that's something kind of watching our games that you might look out for whenever she's talking to the ref in first person and saying his name outright. So that's something really funny and fun to enjoy.
A little extra advantage, perhaps.
Yeah, a little bit.
All right, so how is the team feeling about Ivy League play?
I think overall we're super excited. It's a better feeling going into this season with more wins under our belt going into Ivy season. I think as a whole that gives us more confidence moving forward. I think that we're excited to spend 14 more games together. That's something personally that I'm excited about as a senior. Our conference is competitive. We're the 7th most competitive conference in the NCAA women's basketball. So every game is going to be a challenge, but we're not taking that lightly, and we're super excited to compete, and I'm excited to see what happens.
That's great. Well, we're all excited to watch, that's for sure. Thinking back on your 4 years, what's your favorite moment as a basketball player at Dartmouth?
It's hard because there's a lot of moments, and when talking with alum of our program, we ask them these same questions, and a lot of the moments aren't necessarily from winning games or whatnot, or the women who came before us who won 4 Ivy League championships, but it's just the moments that they spent together as a team. And I can say that throughout my time here, every single person that I've come across this program I've shared so many great memories with, from being here throughout Winterim and just finding different things to do and just getting to spend time together with them. Specifically this season during our trip, whenever we played UAlbany and Merrimack and throughout the upstate New York area, after our win against Merrimack, we all got pulled into a circle and we were told that we better get ready and get on the bus as quick as we can, because we were going to the UConn-UNC women's basketball game. And if you guys don't know, the head UNC coach is Courtney Banghart, who is graduated in 2001 and was a Dartmouth alum. So we got to go to that game and experience that as a team, which I think is something that I'm going to remember for a while, and was a great experience.
That's a pretty cool road trip.
Yes.
Especially since she surprised you all.
Yeah,
that's
awesome.
Okay, so almost done. Last question. You're from Tennessee. What's the one thing that's really different here in the Northeast at Dartmouth that you kind of noticed when you first got here? And then one thing that you miss from home when you're here at school?
No, that's a great question. I think after my first winter here, which was actually my sophomore year, because freshman winter I was off because of COVID, The thing that I noticed right away were the harsh winters. People weren't joking whenever I was at home about saying what those were going to be like. And I don't know if you all saw the flurries today, but in Nashville, school would have been canceled today. So that's a little bit of adjustment, to say the least. And something that I miss, of course, is friends and family. I'm a huge homebody and family person, so that's something that I miss. But a close second probably has to be Chick-fil-A. So.
Chick-fil-A?
Yeah.
Well, it's not too far.
Yeah.
It's in the southern part of the state.
Yeah, kind of far from Hanover. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Carrington, for spending some time with us tonight. We want to wish you the best of luck this weekend and the rest of the season. As a reminder, the Dartmouth women's basketball team will take on Brown this Saturday, 1 o'clock, Lead Arena in Hanover. To get tickets, go to dartmouthsports.com/tickets. If you can't make it to Hanover, you can also follow the live stream on ESPN+. And we'll be back after a quick break. Welcome back. It's the Dartmouth Coaches Show presented by Ramunto's. We just heard the Dartmouth women's basketball head coach, Linda Cimino, and women's player, Carrington Washburn. Now, let's turn to the men's program. Joining us now is Dartmouth men's basketball coach, David McLaughlin, currently in his 8th year at Dartmouth, 7th season coaching. The Big Green men are currently 4-9, and open Ivy League play also this weekend on the road at Penn this Saturday at 2 p.m. It's been a challenging start for the men, having been hit with several key injuries this season, but seem to be finding their rhythm at the right time. Coach, I'm going to read a notable stat to you now, and I'd love to get your thoughts. Since February 17th, 2022, Dartmouth men's basketball has the 3rd best record against other Ivy League opponents. Tell us what that means and how that bodes for your team heading into the Ivy League season.
Yeah, I think that's a stat we're proud of. It's a very competitive league. I think Carrington just said it. You know, as far as men and women, the Ivy League is one of the top 10 to 12 leagues in the country. So it's incredible level of basketball. Really talented players, really well coached. So that means our staff has to do a great job preparing our players, and our players have to translate what they're being taught. And I think they've done a really good job of that, and we've been fairly competitive. We want to be more competitive than we have been, but proud of that we can do that in such a competitive league nationally.
And it just seems as though every time you hit Ivy League play, your team raises its level a whole nother notch. And so that's pretty exciting and is very fun for us as we go into this weekend and you start Ivy League play. So let's talk a little bit about going into this season. We know there were big shoes to fill, right? We had the graduation of all Ivy player Dame Adelican, who was just so much fun to watch. You seem to now have adopted a little bit different style of play to suit your personnel. How do you feel like your team has adapted? And just tell us a little bit about how you feel about that progress and where you're going with this group.
Yes, we have a group that's very coachable, and I said this to them numerous times. I said it to our staff, and they're willing to let us explain the why to them. They're willing to be coached hard. They're willing to embrace hard, and you can't play the exact same way every year. You have to play to the strengths of your players, and particularly your better players. So we're trying to do that now. We still want to have a similar identity that we had last year with Dame, and in terms of playing inside-out basketball, in terms of executing at a really high level. And I think for us, it's that offensive identity that we're chasing right now. And you know, started league play on Saturday at Penn is going to be another test. Can we have that offensive identity that we all want in terms of being unselfish and executing, and like I said, playing inside out, and really sharing the juices and making other teams guard every single possession.
Has there been anyone on the team that has surprised you so far, or something about the team as a whole that has been pleasantly unexpected?
Not unexpected, but I do like how competitive practices are. And it's interesting, you start practice in the preseason, and then all of a sudden you start the season, and you only have 2 days between each game. So you're not so much developing, you're getting ready for the next game. And I like how we've had a little bit of time, at least a couple days this week, to really compete. and I think our guys really enjoy that. So I'm not surprised, but I really like the way we compete. In terms of individually, guys are getting older and better, so I'd like to see how our freshmen have transitioned. I like to see how our seniors are competing. I really am impressed with our captains, Romeo and Rob, how they're leading. They're very, very selfless leaders. They definitely put the team first, and that really sets the tone for us each day.
I love it, and you have to have leaders that can really inspire their teammates in practice every day. Speaking of inspiring play, I got to ask you about your leading scorer, Dusan Neskovic. I love how smooth he is on the court. Talk about how he's really stepped up this season and what you continue to expect from him going in this Ivy League season.
Yeah, Dusan, and I might call him Dookie during this, so the guys call him. And he's just an incredible offensive talent, and he's a very polarizing player. He's very powerful on the offensive end in terms of his ability to score and have defenses, go towards him. And we try to play around him as much as we can, and we rely a lot on him on the perimeter and the post, and he's doing a really good job of that. He needs to continue to make strides in the defensive end, and he will. And when you have the ability to take as many shots or the volumes of shots that he's taking, we are relying on him a lot, but he also has to learn what great shots are and how he, even by cutting hard or moving without the ball, can get other guys open shots, and we call that sacrifice, and sacrifice equals success, and that's the next step in his evolution.
Excellent. Well, we look forward to seeing that evolution.
Me too.
Let's talk a little bit now about Brandon Mitchell-Day. I know that you and I mentioned in the offseason, we talked about how you had really high expectations for him. Do you feel like he's where you want him to be? And what else do you see for him this Ivy season?
The best thing about BMD is he's not where he wants to be. So it doesn't matter where we are. He has such high expectations for himself, and he puts a lot of pressure on himself, and it shows. So what he has to do is has to let the game come to him. And he's an incredibly talented player, but he matches the talent with his effort. And when you can have someone who matches the talent that he has with the effort and the right attitude, sky's the limit. So he's got an ability to impact the game at both ends. He has the ability to impact the game without the ball at both ends, which is really hard to do. And it's an awesome thing in practice when all you do is ask his teammates to match his energy. And when you have to match the energy of one of the best players, that's a good recipe for success.
Well, he's certainly exciting to watch, and we look forward to seeing him continue to grow and develop, as you say. So coming up this Saturday, you open at Penn. Tough road trip, heading down to Philly. Penn's currently 8-7. So what are some keys, some focus areas for that game, and what are some keys to winning?
Penn is 8-7, 3 overtime losses, and they played a really, really tough schedule. And you play in the Palestra. It's incredible. The Cathedral College basketball. It's a great place to play, great environment. So we have to be ready on a lot of levels. First league game, so everyone's going to be very prepared. They're very good in transition. They have a good inside-out attack. Deceptively, a really good offensive rebounding team. They're 71st in the country in offensive rebounding percentage. We're 19th in the country in defensive rebounding percentage. So as Coach Trotter, staff's right over there, and they do a great job with the scouts. And Jabari did the scout today, and he said something's got to give there. So it's someone's percentage is going to win there. I think we have to do that, and I think we have to really, really value the basketball. We have to make sure that we make them defend every possession, and we can move the ball and get up good shots, and I think we'll have a good opportunity.
That's awesome. Well, good luck. We can't wait to watch. Okay, so now we're going to go. We have a couple of questions from folks who wrote in. So this question is from Jack from Hanover, and he asks, Coach McLaughlin, is this your first time at Ramunto's?
It's my second time. No, Jack's a good friend. He's sitting right in the back. Hey, Jack. Jack and I have probably been to Ramunto's about 47 times together, so I think that's why he asked that question. So thanks for that one, Jack. Appreciate it.
So along those lines, what's your slice? What's your go-to slice?
Hawaiian.
All right. All right, Jack has a couple other questions. So in your time as a D1 head coach, what has been the biggest challenge and the greatest satisfaction? These are tough questions, Jack.
It's a great question. I think the biggest challenge is, and the most fun challenge at the same time, is getting a different group of guys ready each year to compete and to get on the same page and to buy into your culture, to help the leaders grow, to compete at a high level. That's the challenge, and it's awesome. And when you can see that, it's a fantastic thing. But I think my favorite part is the relationships you build with the guys, and not just relationships, but how through hard coaching, through tough conversations, through relationships, you can see young men come in at 16, 17 when you start recruiting them, leave at 21, 22, and they're ready to conquer the world. My man Rob McCray, where are you, buddy? Where are you? Can I hear you? Where are you at? He's there. Okay, he's in the booth. So Rob's a great example of someone who trusted us in the recruiting process. Came here as an 18-year-old young man from the West Coast. Ended up doing a prep year at the Kimball Union. That was a tough year for him, but he trusted us more throughout that year, and knew there was a future for him here. And it wasn't an easy transition for him here, and we've had numerous conversations in my office, and we've really gone at each other in a healthy way. And to see where he is right now as a young man, and to see where he is as a leader, and to see how he's ready to, really truly ready to conquer the world when he leaves this place, that's one of the most rewarding things of this profession.
Great. And one last question. What are the most important things you learned as a player that translated into success as a coach?
It's a great question. So I played for Coach Richard Whitmore at Colby College. He was the head coach there for 42 years. Besides my dad, the second biggest male influence in my life, and it's not really that close. And what he taught us was, you have to embrace hard. It's okay. You have to be held accountable, and you have to deal with being held accountable, and you have to continue to progress as a player, as a person, as a young man, and as a leader, no matter what the circumstance is. And he really pushed us and pushed my fellow teammates that way, and is a big reason that I got into coaching.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us, and best of luck this weekend at Penn. We'll be rooting for you from Hanover, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to the Dartmouth Coaches Show presented by Ramunto's. We just heard from head men's basketball coach David McLaughlin. Now joining us this evening is 6'6" forward Connor Christensen. Christensen, a junior from Eden Prairie, Minnesota, is currently averaging 20 minutes a game, 3 points, 3 boards, and is very much a glue guy for this Big Green men's basketball team. There is not a loose ball that I haven't seen him diving for, and if you watched any games this season, you might see him firing up his teammates. Connor, is that an accurate description? And how have you embraced that role, if it is?
Yeah, no, I think it's a pretty accurate description of myself. I pride myself on being a guy that can be plug and play in a lot of different lineups for us, and kind of bring guys together and build camaraderie on the team. So I've definitely seen my role grow throughout the year. Part of that was due to injuries, but I think I've proven to the staff and the guys on our team that I belong out there and make positive plays for us when I'm on the court. So definitely proud of that.
Absolutely, and it just looks like you're having so much fun when you're on the court and with your teammates.
Yeah, totally. I didn't play a ton the last 2 years, so getting out there and being able to play with them, it means a lot.
So tell me how the team is feeling heading into Ivy League play.
Yeah, I mean, the Ivy League, obviously, it's a very competitive conference, but we've shown, as you discussed with Coach McLaughlin over the past few years, that we're able to win games in league play. But everyone's good. Anyone can beat anyone on any night of the week, and we think that some of the tests we've had in non-conference play have definitely prepared us for league play. But we're a team that comes around during league play, and that's when we start to play our best basketball, so we're hoping that's the case this year, and it'll lead to some great results. So.
Awesome. So let's take a quick look back at the non-conference season. You've been able to play 2 opponents at 2 pretty iconic venues, Duke and Vanderbilt. So first of all, talk a little bit about what those places, what that felt like playing in those pretty big arenas. And then how has that helped you prepare for Ivy League play?
Yeah, no, they're definitely special experiences playing in those venues against those high-level teams. They're definitely teams you watch on TV growing up, and you're well aware of who they are. So we definitely ask our coaches every year to schedule as many high-level opponents as we can, because we think they're great memories, but they also prepare us for league play, playing in those environments. And a lot of people would think going into those games that there's a lot of pressure associated with it, playing at such a big arena in front of a lot of people, but really it's more of just crafting our game against a better team, which prepares us for league play. We're kind of playing with house money at that point, where it's less about winning or losing. It's more about where can we get better, and testing our skills against a high-level opponent. So they're great experiences, and I think those experiences will really help us in league play this year.
So maybe it's one of those games, but do you have a favorite moment of your playing career at Dartmouth so far?
Yeah, I'd have to go back to my freshman year for my favorite moment of my Dartmouth career. That was right after COVID happened, so we had a sixth-year guy, a fifth-year guy on the team that had come back, and we were heading into our final game of the season at Harvard. And both of us were kind of middle of the pack in the league, so we're both out of contention for making Ivy Madness at that point, but we wanted to send them out on a really positive note and kind of go in and spoil Harvard's senior night for them. So we went in there, and I think we ended up winning by 20-something points. We had a great crowd of alums in the Boston area that showed up, and we came back and had a great time after the game as well. So just a memorable day for me that we really sent our seniors off on a great note, and that's something we try to do every single year. So
that's an awesome memory, and one I know you'll remember for a long time.
For sure.
Well, you're off the hook. Thank you so much for taking some time with us tonight. Thank you all for joining us for the first ever Dartmouth Coaches Show presented by Ramunto's. Good luck this season. Good luck the rest of the way. Thank you to Coach McLaughlin, Coach Cimino, Carrington, of course, everyone out there tonight, and Connor Christensen. Appreciate you. As a reminder, the Dartmouth men face Penn in Philadelphia this Saturday at 2 p.m., which will be live streamed on ESPN+, while the Dartmouth women's team will play Brown here in Hanover at Lead Arena at 1 p.m. Hope to see you there. Have a great night, everyone.